I'm Marianne Young McDonald. I'm the head of school. And with me, I think you were talking to Tanya. She's head of Children's House, which would be for the children and toddlers right up to 6 years in CASA, and it's Montessori based. And up here at the grades 1 to 8 is IB. And I think you heard a little bit about what Marcia was talking about, how our program is up here. She can see the IB philosophy, focus on the profile. So that's what we do, grades 1 to 8. And I want to introduce you to our current parents. First, I will start with Doreen. Doreen has a child. His name is George, and he goes to Children's House for a CASA program. And then Marcia has actually 2 children at our school. One is currently in the toddlers program, and then she has a grade 1 student in our junior school, middle school division. And then Dina over here is our grade 7 parent. So she has 1 child at our school, and she's in grade 7. So this way we provide like a full spectrum for prospective parents when they come to our round table, so that you can have a good idea, you know, when you're looking for a school, you're not just looking for that grade level, because if you sign up, you want to see what's happening to the future, right? So you can get a glimpse. So that's why I intentionally selected like a panel where we have all of the divisions within, so that you can ask your questions. So welcome to our roundtable. Dina and Marcia and Doreen were just sharing their child's experiences.
I think I was surprised how easy the transition was for George. Like at that age, I didn't know what to expect. And I felt like, you know, I was worried that it was going to take a lot of time for him to adjust, especially after coming back from COVID and like the quarantine, and he was on half days, and he really loved his teachers there, you know, the first ones. And I was worried that he was going to have a tough time adjusting, but it went really well. And he like comes home and tells me how much he loves his new teachers, and he wants to invite them to his birthday next year.
So sweet.
And like even recently, like, and it's only, I'd say like week 3, he asked when he's going back to school. So I thought that was a great indication how much he was enjoying it. It's the like wanting to go back. But I agree in terms of the neatness and cleanliness, that's especially in when he was in the toddler room and now in CASA, just like, it's so nice to see such a peaceful environment, because I remember when we toured other you know, daycares or Montessori's, the toileting was, to me, was such a mess. Like I felt like, I'm like, this doesn't look clean. This is not how I would want to see it. It just looks, and it's concerning.
That's right.
But yeah, it's nice, and they can do it on their own. And like, I like that there's little toilets for them, and it's such a nice setup. And the facility itself is obviously so beautiful and brand new, and you can see how neat and clean and tidy it is. So that's, I feel so important for them to have like a calm mind, right? And a calm mindset.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I agree. So
definitely. Even that will impact them. They will be more neat and more clean, and they will take care of themselves as well, because the environment will build their personality.
For sure. I definitely agree. And even some of the habits he's picking up, you know, sometimes at home, like you're in such a rush to get to the next thing, or for us, we have another little guy who's just turned 1. So it's like, sometimes I don't focus so much on George doing the exact steps that he would do at school. So now he reminds me, like, oh, we can't, I have to wash my hands. Like, I'm like, yes, we have to wash our hands. But yeah, a lot of that stuff, and even around lunchtime and community and sitting down together, all that stuff, I find such a change in him and his manners. And he was always polite, but it's like an extra step. Like now, like, thank you for making this food for me, Mama. And I'm like, ooh, you are welcome. Yeah, it's so sweet to see the changes. Yeah. And, you know, at his age, I find like it's crazy just even noticing the change in him just in the short time that he's been back.
Yes, exactly. It's been just 1 month.
Yeah, it's only been a month. Just like their mindset, the attitude, their willingness to, you know, do what you ask of them. You can tell like they're getting the stimulation, they're being challenged, and
that's right.
Yeah, and they're very proud of their work when he brings home stuff. It's like, look what I made, and he's telling me the tools he used, and I did this with the metal inset tool today, and I'm like so proud of him for knowing even what he was using, right?
That's right, yeah.
That is so wonderful to hear, you know. I mean, it's not always that we can see the other side of the impacts of our teacher. Again, you know, like, you know, having the opportunity to hear that and be able to share it with our teachers will only get us improving and become better as well.
Yes, yes,
That's right.
I agree.
Yeah, I think my comments are very much the same. Like, it's a very nurturing environment. If I look at Cole, who's 19 months old, so he's in the toddler program. This is the first time he's really been away from home. I mean, if you think about COVID, he's at home all day with us. So we were nervous about the transition, but you know, Tanya will attest, he cried maybe for the first week. By week 2, he was on his way, Mr. Independent, walking into his classroom, and we were just amazed with the habits that he brought home with him. So his vocabulary has expanded, the thank you, the please, the routine of when I come in, I need to take off my jacket, I'm responsible for hanging it up. When I get up from a chair, I'm responsible for tucking it in. You know, these are habits that will live with them forever. So it's nice to see instilling those values, and you know, that empower, excel, you know, starts at 18 months old. And then, you know, going to Madison, who's in grade 1, she was in the Montessori program at another school. We were just looking for a school that would challenge her, motivate her to do her best. And exactly as you said, Dina, like, you know, she's always been polite. She's always been, you know, studious or proud of her work, but she's never been confident to present to her peers or to ask her a question to her teacher. She's never felt comfortable. And within the 3 weeks here, you know, we can't get her to stop talking about school. And she's very proud to show us her agenda book. You know, I have these 3 things for homework, and if I finish them, I can give myself a check mark. And it's the small things in grade 1. But you can see how that's going to be lifelong lessons and values as they create these study habits for the future.
Great,
So
that's great. That's great.
I must say though, I did see the confidence growing in Madison, because I'm in the classroom quite a bit, and they do a lot of different work, and you know, a lot of differentiating is happening. Just look at where the child is and take them to the highest potential. I would say, although, you know, we had this conversation, Madison, because I don't know if you know, Madison is a year younger than grade 1 student, but you go in, you would never know. You would never know. And she's at par with even the grade 2 students in the classroom. So in terms of confidence, in terms of her academic learning, you know, in terms of just, you know, how to say, organizing their time and in the class. So I'm very pleased to see that. There's not one time, if anybody walks into that class, you won't be able to tell that Madison is actually 5 years old. Whatever she was doing in the old school really supported her success. So I want to also, where she came from, I think they have really given her good, strong skills, you know, good foundation. Yeah. And yet she was not shy to ask for help if she wanted. I've seen some of her work, good writing skills as well. And so the other question is, what does your child have to say about the school? I don't know if that was something that you prepared or you asked your child. Did you get a chance to get some of that? No pressure.
I think for George, like, obviously, lots of probing questions to find out how he likes everything. He says he loves it, and he loves his teachers. That's something that he always says, like how his teachers are so nice. And, you know, he said that he was crying at school, but that his teacher reassured him and told him that mommy was going to definitely pick him up at the end of the day. So just like those little small things, I think that, like, we kind of keep going back, that nurturing environment where, you know, he's reassured and he's made to feel safe and comfortable is really important. So I think that's one thing that I think he has said, like, I can see in the way he talks about it. And then just the activities and socializing that he's doing with the kids, and some of the new activities he's working on. So I think those are the things that he's, you know, the feedback I'm getting from him is just like some of the work he's doing, and the teachers obviously are making a big difference in his day. and just the activities, just the different tools and learning about the different things, and coming back and telling me about the globe and learning about land and water and things like that is, you can just see that he's enjoying the work that he's doing as well.
Okay. What about you, Marcia? What is Madison or Cole saying about?
Well, Cole's vocabulary is limited, but I think what I see that he enjoys doing now is puzzles. So he never gravitated towards puzzles before, but we do have a small table at home with puzzles. And so he set that up now almost as if, I think, replicating the school environment, because we can see from some of the pictures that are shared with us that they do some independent work with the fine motor skills of puzzles. And you know, just the creative mind. So it looks like he's enjoying now some independent time versus before he was just a typical 18-month boy, you know, running around in circles in the kitchen. So it's nice to see him, you know, get that discipline of sitting and working on something independently. What Madison really enjoys is the multidisciplinary approach. And what I can see is those roots of the IB program, being an IB grad myself, which is, you know, building a well-rounded, holistic type of personality and honing in on the things that you're good at, but also giving you the opportunity to develop the things that you're not so good at. So Madison enjoys, you know, core with Miss Dom, but then going to spend a bit of time with Miss Arshad, and then with Miss Foley, and then with her French teacher. So she likes the movement around the school. I think that speaks to, you know, the specialized spaces where materials are only in those rooms. It's a new environment. It's re-energizing for them. It's bright spaces. So she's really enjoying that. And she cannot stop talking about makerspace. Like, I think that is her favorite time at school. And I'm not sure if the other parents are familiar with that, but they get a few materials and they're asked to build something out of those materials. And I know, you know, as an example, when Miss Arshad had them outside with hula hoops trying to build a walnut, she loved that it was from, you know, grade 1 all the way to grade 8. So she was with Yara, and, you know, that's how I know Yara's name. But you know, it's nice that they're able to work. I think that's Madison's favorite part, interacting with different ages, working with different teachers, and in different spaces. So that's what she really loves about the school.
Go ahead, Dina.
Okay, so this is her first year in private school. She was a little bit concerned and worried about leaving her friends and the whole environment to live a new, like a new life here. But I think she's been like now more adapted to the new school. The most important thing that she's realizing here is the teachers and how they deal with their students. They're very careful with them. They are even dealing with them as their children. They're not dealing with them as students. That makes her like she's more like she's not worried to talk to her teacher, or she's not afraid to be like to have any question. At first she was concerned to ask the question, or even if she has an homework unfinished, she will be like kind of that's bad for her. But now she even asks her teacher. She can communicate with her through email. She answers her immediately, which is very, very good. That makes her relieved. One of the reasons I say this, because like yesterday she has a little bit problem with the social study, and she emailed Ms. Khan, her teacher, and she answered it immediately. She was really nervous and concerned that she's not finishing her homework, and I'm really afraid of this. But then when Ms. Khan answered her and then told her to calm down and everything will be solved, she was just relieved, like a whole mountain has been released out of her chest. I think this communication between the students and the teacher is really important, because like I said, I feel that she is more confident now. That this point is really important, to make a connection between the teacher and the student, to make him feel like he's an adult person and he can count on himself, and can he be independent to do his work, not to be worried about anything. This really makes me feel proud of her, and she will be proud of herself as well. I think this is absolutely a beautiful thing, and I can't thank you enough for this. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. I definitely will share it with the teacher. It is true that our teachers are very caring. It's almost like their children. They talk to them like that. They have very respectful communication. And, I kid you not, after each session of class, like at the end of the school day, the teacher had this get together and they go, okay, how did it go? How can I get better? I mean, they constantly meet after school to talk about improving the environment for the students. I've never seen that in any school, like in a small
That's
school like this. Yeah.
That's
And
right. She remembers the tiny details. What the teacher told her. That's her. Yeah, that wasn't her.
no, no, no.
No, I'm really happy. Like she's being herself now.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I see that. I know every single student. So Lily, I don't know if you know, this is our first year launching our grades 1 to 8 school. So it's a brand new school. And then for Children's House, it's their second year. At this point,
Yes,
at this point, I thought maybe it might be, since you're the only person, why don't I offer you the opportunity to ask your questions that might be helpful for you?
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you. Well, this is a this is a great treat, I have to tell you, to be able to speak with moms and all of you. And I was doing some research, Marianne, so I do know a little bit about the heads of the school. So thank you for introducing yourselves, and I do want to learn more. But I do want to admit this has never been a possibility for my husband and I. We've talked about it for years and tried to figure it out, but this is the first year where we know if they go to private school until grade 12 that we can make it work, because there's no point to put them in and take them out and put them in and take them out. So our children will be starting in grade 1 and grade 4. So I do have some worry about that. I do feel bad, but we just didn't feel comfortable putting them in if we technically couldn't make it all happen. So we are going to start in grade 1 and grade 4. Could you speak to that a little bit for me?
So speak to what specifically, the program or the schedule, or
Them not starting from kindergarten, them starting at grade 1 and them starting at grade 4. So they've been in public school all this time, and what the difference will be for them, what the transition will look like. Have they missed out on anything? Those are sort of my worries now, because it will be grade 1 and 4. What have they missed out on? Will they feel behind? Will they feel not a part of the class? I worry about those things.
So why don't since we have parents here to answer the questions, I want to say that Dina has that experience with her daughter, who comes directly from a public school, and what the transition was like for her, keeping in mind that our school is, where we have our class sizes are very small. So if anything, the needs that weren't met previously might be met. And in terms of grade 1, there's actually no transition. It's just a matter of school. Does that make sense? Because they've not, in preschool, in kindergarten, they are still learning, but the learning is, similar in a variety of schools. So I don't see a problem with the transition, but Marcia has a grade 1 child, and she can speak to that. And then Dina can talk about, going into grade 4, because her daughter went into grade 7 from a public school. So maybe we start with Marcia, because we heard from Dina just now. Maybe Marcia, you could talk about the transition. Is that an issue, or?
Sure, Lily, and I think I'll echo a lot of the points that Marianne had said. I mean, my daughter is in grade 1 right now. She was in a Montessori private school, but I think, their minds at that age are so young. They're sponges. They're ready to learn whatever the teacher is willing to throw at them, with the right encouragement and the nurturing environment. So I personally don't think, your grade 1 child or your grade 4 child, but I'll let Dina speak to that more, will feel the difference. I think the small class size really helps. The teachers are so energetic. When you drop your your children off and you pick them up, the energy level with the teachers is the same. They're curious, they're enthusiastic, they have great progress, quick updates on, you know, what they did during the day. And I think the class size being as small as it is allows the teacher to tailor a little bit in terms of how they work, not only with the full class, but there's certain activities that they do one-on-one. So the teachers do kind of modify whatever they need to and really spend time not only on things that the student is good at, but also the things that they need a bit of support or help with, which all students have, you know, a couple of areas where they need to improve on. And the teacher does that in such a careful and nurturing way that, you know, my daughter has no idea that she might be struggling with social studies or something else. And it's not a struggle, but she needs some support, but the teacher does it in such a beautiful way that, you know, Madison doesn't know she's getting one-on-one time for that reason. So I don't think it's going to be a tough transition. We were just speaking before you joined that the whole school actually comes together so nicely because the older grades and the younger grades work together, that, you know, they make friends not only within their class, but in the broader school, that they really don't feel that transition at all.
Okay, thank you.
Dina, do you want to say, coming from a public school to a private school first time?
Of course, of course. Listen, I was in public school. I was concerned that she comes back without any homework. I'm not saying that she has a lot of homework now, but she's more focused on her work in the house and outside, even in the school. She's reviewing what she's been taken in school, and now that makes her, like, she makes the information all stable in her mind. She's not struggling with homework. At the contrary, she's being like, all the homework is so easy and easygoing. She's focusing more on everything, French, the social study, the math. She even had a math test like yesterday, and she has the whole weekend, but she took only half a day to review only. That's all what she did. She didn't need to work hard because everything was in her mind. She takes the material as easy as it is from the teacher, and I really appreciate what Ms. Khan is doing with the students. She's not taking a much time for her to focus on, even if she has an exam. That means that she is taking the material in the right way, in the right time, and she's, I don't know, she changed. It's a huge transmission for Yara, and I'm really proud of her now. Really, we were discussing every night, we discussed with her father. She said that Yara has been changed since she joined this school, really. And we were really happy that we took this decision, because we were just like a little bit concerned, get back to the public school. And now we are definitely sure that this was the most right decision we made for Yara, for her future, of course. So I definitely recommend it.
So I just want to add on to that as well, Lily, that, you know, all private schools will do the same as what we are doing, and that is to assess where the student is and take them to their potential. So it doesn't matter, like, you're concerned about, you know, your children coming in and behind. There's no such thing, because we're small enough, we're a private school, so our learning program is personalized. So in a way, yes, we teach to the topic of the Ontario curriculum, but our method is very inclusive. So if you have gaps, we take you from here to here. And just like what Dina is saying, you know, the learning is engaging in the classroom, so they're taking it in most of the time, so then you're not doing a lot of learning on your own at home. I think when the learning in the classroom is not effective, you end up learning on your own by yourself so that you pass the test. So a sign of a good engaging classroom is when you learn when you're supposed to learn, and you're able to demonstrate your learning in an easy way, and you find that the challenge is just right. If it's too hard, I think your concern is, will it be too hard for your children? So the answer is no, it won't be.
I think just to add too, I know that George is a bit younger, but just like that open communication with the teachers, right? I feel like that's such a big thing in their learning, is that even just having conversations, like George's teacher had called me to give me an update on how he was doing. and telling me just things that she's noticed in his learning. She said, you know, and that's another big important thing about mixing the kids in ages and things like that, is that she noticed that he was picking up some of the things that she was teaching to the older kids. And then she told me, you know, that's something I'm going to work with George with, because he's shown interest and I can see that he's ready to learn some of these new things. So just that very, like you said, tailored approach to each child's level, and challenging them and their level, and you know, getting them outside of their comfort. That's something I noticed right away. And I know George is a bit younger, but just so nice to hear that reassurance that they're gonna push him still. It doesn't matter how old your child is or where they came from or what their history in learning was. That, you know, open communication with the teacher, where you really do feel like you're almost getting that one-on-one, like, wow, she's already noticed in his classroom in the first couple of weeks that he's ready to learn something new. To me, was so great to have a teacher have already noticed that and telling me that she's going to push him on this one thing. So I think without having that experience of switching him just because he started where he has, I just feel like in terms of a transition, they're definitely going to be just like challenged in the right way, and nothing's going to go unnoticed with your children.
Thank you so much. Did that answer your question, Lily?
Yes, it did. It's I just worry how they'll adjust, but they've explained it beautifully. The kids won't go unnoticed. They'll be more than that. They'll be, you know, extremely noticed, and they'll be included. It won't be that, you know, after 3 days or 5 days or 2 weeks or 4 weeks, they'll tell me that they're behind. Literally from the moment they're there, they're a part of something bigger, and they're inclusive. Like, they include all of them, is what I'm hearing, is that, and they're noticed. That's the biggest thing, being noticed. My child sat in class last week. He said, it felt like an hour, Mom, that I had my hand up and nobody noticed me. She wouldn't let me answer the question because she said I already knew the answer. And I felt so sad for him. He said it happened 3 times. Like, does she just not care that I know? You know, and he's a bright kid. He's a bright kid. So, you know, he's really good in math and wants to answer everything so wonderful. But she said no. You know, she went to all the other kids and he just felt so defeated. And it kind of broke my heart, you know, for him to come home and tell me that. And that's not the reason why. Please don't think that's now, oh, well, we got to put him in private school. That's what's happening. We've thought about this for a long time. It just happens to be the right opportunity. And so we're going through this process. But that's just one example of what's happened to just solidify why, you know, this might be a better choice for us. What you're saying exactly is in line with why this would be a better choice for us. So thank you for your honesty and sharing that, because that's not what I needed to hear, but what I was hoping, you know, to hear.
So are there any other questions we can answer for you, Lily?
Yes, absolutely. Please. And please tell me when we're out of time. It was my fault. I'm not good with technology. So just keep me you know, on track. Please cut me off whenever. But another question I had, and the moms can speak to this for me. How did you know what I'm struggling with? Because there are so many options out there. How did you know that Ashwood Glen was the right school for your children? How did you know that? Because I am struggling a little bit with all these options, and it's the idea of, I don't want to make the wrong decision for my children, and they have to be a part of that process. But how did you know? So whoever wants to, whoever can or would like to answer that.
I mean, I can start just coming from another private school, and certainly I'll welcome the other moms to jump in. But, you know, this will sound very cliche, but the moment we walked in through the front doors of Ashwood Glen, the bright open spaces, before you joined, Lily, we were all remarking about how clean the school is. It's clean throughout the day. And, you know, that's not something new or special because of COVID. That's how the school has always been, bright, tidy, clean. The second moment we knew is when we met the administration. So both Tanya and Marianne were very welcoming. They took the time to meet with us, similar to this, but walk through the curriculum, answer all the questions we had, talk about any unique scenarios for my daughter, who's 5, for my son, who's 18 months. At the time, he was a 9-month-old when we were looking for where we could enroll them in school. And what Ashwood Glen has, which we love, is the profile. So they share outwardly their mission, their values. You'll hear a lot of other private schools talk about the small student-teacher ratio, but the trap that we fell into as we were touring other schools is they only have a smaller number of materials. So yes, the student-child ratio is small, but if they don't have enough materials to go around for the entire class, then that becomes a bit of a challenge. Or, they start the year with smaller student teacher ratios, and as the year progresses and they accept more registrations, all of a sudden it's December or January and you've lost that student-child ratio. So to me, it's those core values that Ashwood Glen not only puts down on their piece of paper on their website, they live it. The teachers do, the administration does, the parent community does. Because of COVID, the parents haven't really had a chance to interact much, but as much as we see each other in the parking lot or at drop off or pickup, everybody is just so nurturing, and it's a community already on, week 3 of us knowing each other. So it's really just a proud privilege to be part of this school.
Yeah, I agree. And to add to that, we all spoke about the same thing in terms of the cleanliness, how neat and tidy, how peaceful the environment is. I think for us, because when we started looking at different schools, we were really looking for a toddler program, and the difference was very noticeable between how Ashwood Glen appeared and did things versus any of the other I say maybe daycares or toddler rooms that also claim to have Montessori options. It's just like walking into the school and how bright and clean. Again, we're all kind of stressing it, but I think when you've walked through many other schools, it becomes a huge thing that you notice right away. The other thing we really liked is that it was a new school, which I know sometimes can be not a plus because it's hard when you're a new school. But I thought that was a big bonus to get in on something kind of from the ground level, to be involved right from the beginning and kind of be part of the school's growth as the parents. I thought that was really special. And you feel like you almost have a little bit of input, and we're kind of growing together. Our children are growing with the school. And I thought that was great because I felt like I was very involved. And again, same in terms of the classroom sizes and the personalization. I just felt like the teachers really are nurturing and really do know each student really well. They don't just claim to know or try and read up about your child before having a conversation with you. Like, they're telling you things about your child that you know really well. And it's like, yes, this person has spent a lot of time with my kid, and I can tell because they're telling me things that only I would know about them. And I thought that was really special as well.
Great, thank you. You actually spoke to one of my questions, and like I said, just because I'm trying to understand this, a lot of the schools out there, have been operating, for 50 years or so. So I really do appreciate you mentioning that, because that was one of my thoughts and one of my questions, how you do feel, or how did you determine when there's not much history behind it. I'm not saying you have to have history.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I feel like because it's a new school, they have so much more to prove. So in a way, it's like everybody's trying even harder to make sure that the parents know that they're there for their children, and that the school is doing its best. And it's very clear once you walk in that, it's you can tell that they know what they're doing. And they're even in their policies, and like we said, sharing their profiles and all those things, they don't just say it, they really do live it. And like I said, it was just for me, our family, we felt like, obviously it's nerve-wracking sometimes entering something so new, but we got that trust from Ashwood very early on, and we felt that it was the right decision for us. And it was nice to feel involved in a school right from the beginning, right from the ground level, and feel like I said, like we're growing with the school and really getting to know the school from that first stage.
I don't know,
I
Dina,
have a
if,
question.
oh, I was just going to add, being a new school also, I don't know if you know my background. I've been in independent schools since 2001. So ever since, you know, my youngest child was born 18 years and now 19. I've been in leadership for over 10 years. And one of the things that I found was working in big established schools, there are changes to education that we need to make, but the change, as you and I all know, is so difficult in any organization. And working at Ashwood Glen with Sonia's support, what's amazing is that we start from the change. So we are actually living, we're making the difference that we want without going through that whole change in the established systems, you know. So that was exciting for me. So you're right, you know, our teachers are experienced and we come from a long experienced background, and we're implementing the changes, the difference that people want to see in education without having to go through the breaking down the barriers and all that. So we're lucky. The goal right now is to maintain that change. And that in itself is a challenge, but we're getting there and we're doing well, I think. I just wanted to add about the new, like, you know, like the.
Yeah, and I agree. Even what you said, like the facility itself might be new, but the people and the staff and the heads, no one is new to this.
No.
This is something like that you can see that there's a lot of knowledge and experience behind the school.
Yeah.
And passion. There's a lot of passion in
Yeah.
everything that is
Yeah,
done.
I agree.
true.
Marianne, maybe you could speak to this question that I have, just because we have been researching other schools, and in speaking with them, and doing the research, they say that the numbers do tend to, as the kids are getting older, 5, 6, 7, 8, that the numbers do tend to become less and less. In general, the kids, there aren't as many children in those higher grades. As my son would be joining in grade 4, I had that thought too. I'm not sure if it's just because we haven't had a chance to speak to it too much. What are your thoughts on that? Because I worry about the class being too small for him, and you know, carrying on in those later grades. And if he's not going to be the last one standing, obviously these kids go on, and a lot of them do stay. But I just had some thoughts about, you know, he's starting in grade 4 and the kids tend to, they were saying, leave in the later grades, how that would affect him.
Well, you know, it's interesting. It's not what I'm seeing here at our school. The highest number of students in our grade is grade 7. We have 5 grade 7 students. So I think it really depends on the program they leave. It's not challenging enough. They might leave if they find that, you know, I do understand sometimes, you know, families do want like a sports type of school or something. Like we do not have like big facilities, you know. But then again, in Canada, I think a lot of students do their sports outside. We offer the other kinds of opportunities, enrichment. So I can't say that I see that, but I'm not saying that that doesn't happen in schools. So it really depends on the school and how they deliver their program. I would say that. Because at the moment, I must say that we have the largest number is in our upper grades.
And the class sizes, where do they vary? Like the class sizes are, what are the sizes of the class?
So our class sizes are supposed to be kept at 16, but because of COVID, the pandemic, we have kept it between 7 to 9.
Wow.
Only because you cannot physically distance, or just for safety and security, we have decided to limit it for the reasons of physical distancing. If you look at our classrooms, they're pretty big. And then we have 7 children. So for example, our grades 1, 2, we kept it at 7. Because we
Amazing.
can't fit anymore in for this pandemic. But in post, like after, I don't know when that might be, but we will go up to 16, and that's our goal. And our goal is also to, and I have confidence because I think our parents are really our ambassadors. You know, the word of mouth is how that will spread. We are not getting a lot of people from, I don't know how you found this, Lily, but a lot of our students are actually recommended by other families. And so with that, our goal is to have each grade level 1 class. So then we have grade 1 and grade 1 alone, 16 students, and we have all the way to grade 8. I know that doesn't exactly answer your questions, but I don't know how to guarantee. I mean, what I'm seeing is the largest grade level we have is the grade 7s. And then we have the 6s, which are, you know, like less with 2 kids and they join the 7s. And then we have, you know, 4s and 5s.
No, that's fair. Listen, the fact that you're taking those measures to keep everyone safe, I applaud you. That's amazing that you're doing. So like you said, you don't know what it looks like. You don't know when this will end. So what that looks like or when that will change, who knows, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But just one last question, if I may, putting this out to all the moms. Tell me the number one thing you love about Ashwood Glen. I know you've mentioned it a little bit, but I'm going to be a mom of the children that go there. And I know you said about the community and just you know, feeling welcome when you show up and that it's clean and that it's welcoming. But the number one for you, not necessarily the children, but the number one for you as a parent.
Let me tell you this one. I will answer first. My daughter has a little bit confidence of herself, and I mentioned that to Marianne the first day I met her. She feels like she's not very welcome. She's not social. A lot of things, like many children may have this feeling, but when she get into this program with the school, I feel a huge difference. My daughter has been changed like 360 degrees. She's more confident. She's more social. She feels proud of herself all the time, and that is a big transmission for me and for her. I see her changing. I see her, like Marianne said, blossoming. She's responsible because she's dealing with a younger age, so she takes care of them, and this is really a big challenge for her. I definitely tell you that the big change in my daughter's personality, they are gifted, but they don't know that. This school makes them feel that they are gifted. That's all what I can say.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
And mine's exactly the same as Dina's. Like, I always knew that Madison could do it. She just didn't know herself.
That's right.
That's what the teachers have given her in week 3, that encouragement, challenging her on a personal level to always do her best. So that speaks to the empower and the excel in the mantra of Ashwood Glen. So that's what I really like about it. And the other thing I like is that Madison feels like she's accountable for her learning. Like, it's a small thing. She writes in her agenda book. She's in grade 1. She feels proud about writing what she needs to get done. And I don't have to ask her anymore, what's your homework? She knows. She comes home. She has a routine. She does her homework. She feels accountable and proud for it. So Lily, for me as a parent, that's a huge weight lifted off of my shoulder. I'm not chasing her around for her homework. She's doing it herself, which is great.
Right. Definitely. Right. Yes.
That will take her forever. And I know your children are a bit older, but I was saying before you joined, my 18-month-old is exactly the same. He's accountable for his learning. He knows he needs to hang up his jacket, tuck in his chair, tidy up crumbs that have fallen when he's had a meal. These are small skills, but for an 18-month-old, it's fantastic to see in 3 weeks that he has learned all of that. And again, those are life skills, lifelong skills on table manners and respect and etiquette that we could have never taught him at home.
Well, my question to you is then, does he pick up the table crumbs at home? Has it transferred yet?
Yes.
Amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, we were trying to take off his jacket, Lily, the first couple of days, and he insisted that he wanted to do it. He wanted to put his shoes away. He wanted to, you know, tidy up the crumbs. There was a couple of days where he had a runny nose, so he couldn't go to school. He cried. The first week, he cried to go to school. The second week, when he had a runny nose, he cried that he couldn't go to school and he was dropping off his sister. So that's the testament of this school and how amazing it really is.
Yeah, and for me, I'd say it's the communication. You know, just being able to have that open conversation with the teachers and the heads. And like I said, my child is noticed. So if I'm asking about George, it's not like, oh, let me check who is George, or let me look at my log and see what George has been up to. It's yes, George is doing this or that. And like I said, and kind of similar to you guys, just noticing the difference in him and just the feedback from the teachers in terms of his learning and noticing that he can be pushed outside of what his grade typically would be doing. And like you said, just they're accountable. And similarly to you, just him saying, no, I can do it. I can take off my jacket. I can put on my shoes. And, you know, going back to the manners, like, thank you, mommy, for making this meal for me. Things like that, or they're definitely, I'm like, he's learning this from school and bringing it home, which is really special to see. But yeah, if I took it back to just me as a parent, and what I like, aside from, you know, what I'm noticing with my child, is the communication, that open conversation with the teachers, with the heads, and not feeling like I can't ask anything. Sometimes I send emails at night because that's when, you know, the kids go to bed, and I'm surprised, I think, at how fast Tanya will respond. I'll even feel bad and be like, I didn't mean for you to respond right now. I just was sending this because this is the time that I get to myself. And getting that communication back so quickly about whatever it is I'm asking is really nice. I don't feel like I'm bothering anyone or that it's going to take forever to get a response.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm sure I have 101 more questions. It's just such a daunting process, I have to say, making a huge decision like this for them, and with them, of course, involved, but ultimately it comes down to my husband and I. And so I appreciate your honesty. Thank you so much. And you know, quite a few of the things that you're saying, it just warms my heart, because I feel the same about my children, and what you're telling me. My children are very similar, and I see that it would affect them in the same way. And so thank you. Thank you so much for your time and for doing this. Really, really, thank you.
So Lily, may I contact you later on as a follow-up? Perhaps, you know, you might have heard that the one thing that helped them with the decision is visiting. So for upstairs, when it's after hours, you can actually have a school visit. So I don't know if you want, I can follow up and try and make an appointment for you to do a tour, and then you learn about the IB program, and I can answer more questions for you.
Please, please.
Okay.
Yes, if you can.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, especially, you know, for taking out the time, all of you, you know, Lily, yourself as well, to learn more about our school and be part of this roundtable. So we're appreciative, and it's have been really productive for Tanya and myself, because just getting the feedback about our teachers, and I can't wait to share it with them, because that is what makes them better, you know, like the motivation to continue to improve. So again, thank you so much, everyone.